Alright, now here's a thing I observed on the two sets of doors I've done with new window rubber. I bought the window rubber from one set from one of our main California part suppliers, and I got another set of the window rubber from the other major California Opel part supplier. And in both instances, I ended up with the rubber being a little bit short, or a lot short. I was only about 4 or 5 inches short the first time, getting this rubber from who we consider to be our better part supplier. And so it was no problem to deal with that 4 inches. But the second batch of rubber I got from the other supplier was 8 inches too short. And that created a big problem. It came to me as one length of rubber for both doors. So I basically took the entire length of it, folded it in half, made sure it was exactly the right length on each one, and then I cut it right there. Well, on this particular install, I decided to do the fairly easy to do vertical part first. So I fed my rubber in there and I pushed it into the groove. And when I got to the top, I nipped it off right there. And now I had my other length of rubber. Well, after I got done putting it in, all the way around, it ended up stopping right here. A good 8 inches from the bottom of the door. Now, what I ended up having to do was chopping 8 inches off of this piece of rubber, and I used that to fill the last portion. I had already shoved the rubber into the thing. It would have been difficult to pull it out and redo everything. So, for starters, always do the front and top window track first. Because if you're short on rubber, it's not such a big deal if it ends up a few inches short at the back of the glass, because the glass is this big. If it's missing 4 inches or so, it's no big deal. But the front of the window glass, being on an angle, only has about that much glass sitting in the window track as it goes up and down. So if you're missing the last 4 to 8 inches of rubber at the front, now you got a big problem. So our good part supplier was gracious enough to remedy this problem for me and is sending me an extra length of the rubber so that I can do this door properly. So the little umbrellas, and there's a piece to the inside and a piece to the outside. I've noticed that on this window rubber that I got, the one umbrella part was sticking to the other rubber. You need to pry that loose down the whole length and make sure it's not gummed or stuck to it, so that when you go to install this rubber, you don't end up with a problem where you can't get the part that overlaps to the outside fighting you because it's stuck to the rest of the rubber. So that was an issue. that I had to deal with on this set of doors. So you take your rubber and you can kind of fold the little wings or umbrellas back so that you have a sort of a rectangular piece there, and go up right up to the corner and push it in. You don't have to push it in real deep yet. Just go down the line, making sure that your little wings or umbrellas are sticking out. Now, like I said, don't do the back one first. Do the front one first. Start here, work your way down. All right, I've laid my door down. You will probably be doing this with your door attached to your car, but it was easier and quicker for me to do this step with the door horizontal. It really takes a long time to push the rubber into the groove. So I discovered that if I use a wood block, I could get the rubber in. And work my way down the line. Now I found that if I use a smaller piece of wood, I can concentrate my force every 2 inches to make sure I'm getting the window rubber into the clip. And I continue down the line here. Make sure you're all the way in where there's a bend in the window frame. And that would be here at the top corner of the glass. Down here just below the windowsill where there's that tight spot that you're going to have to trim the rubber off. And work your way down the line until you get to the windowsill. And then you're going to have to trim the window rubber to get through that tight spot. Now, before you get to that spot, say about 3 inches above the windowsill, you're going to want to stop pounding the rubber into the groove. And now you're going to have to guess or try to mark where to trim away the wings or umbrellas that are sticking off the sides. And you're going to need to go about 3 inches. You only need to do one side, the side that has the sheet metal going flush to the U channel of the door. So figure out where you're going to do that and trim about a 1/2 inch above that area. I'm using dikes, but you could use scissors. And I'll make sure you get a good 3 inches chopped off. About that much. Then you should be able to continue pounding your rubber into the slot. Now, once you get to that point of getting it in there, there's no easy way to do this. You won't have the big speaker hole that I have here. You're going to have to reach in through either this hole or this hole, and well, you need pretty long arms to do that. So you're going to fight and cuss to get that on there. There's a little area right here on this side that it would be wise to trim just a little bit off of there, say about a 1/2 inch. So I've got a 1/2 inch to 1 inch chopped off to clear this little edge right here. And I got 3 inches chopped off on the other side to get through that transition area. I also need to put a cut on the other side. It might make things go a little easier at this point if you loosely lay the rubber in along the track until you get to the bottom. And then trim off the rest of the rubber. And then it's going to take some time for me to bump this in, so let's take a break. Okay, I've installed the top and front length of the window rubber. I had to do a little trim at the bottom also because there's a little flange of sheet metal that would get in the way of the part of the window rubber that overhangs the U-groove. I'm still waiting for the additional window rubber I needed, but to give you an idea of how screwed I was, this is how much I got left after doing 2 doors. Well, guess what? That's how much short I was with the window rubber. Now, this window rubber is super pliable. I've had it in my other car for 5 years and it hasn't gotten any harder. And as I'm driving along with my hand out the window, I find myself playing with it and flicking at it. You'll notice that it's almost impossible to get it to sit perfectly evenly. Where you have each clip, you'll have a little bulge sticking down. That's life. You're going to have to live with it. That's just the way this window rubber is. Now, this lip of rubber, the umbrella or wings that I'm talking about, on the inside, there's nothing securing it. So it's just the rubber overhanging. Now, if it bothers you, I suppose you could squirt some kind of sealer or some kind of glue in there, but hey, that's up to you. On the outside, this rubber gets your window chrome applied to it, which I will show you once I get the rubber that I need to complete this side, which should arrive shortly.